Hey guys, and welcome back to Battlefront updates and some more Star Wars Battlefront 2 news and discussion. So first of all, just a couple of quick updates in regards to May's content, and then I wanted to move over to some comments we have gotten over the last week or two from Dennis and some of the other developers that could hint towards future content, because as of right now we don't really know what's coming other than what's on the roadmap, which is 2 more capital supremacy maps as well as a heroes versus villains rework. But at least some of these comments can give us an idea of the things that they're aiming to do, at least, or at least want to do. So it's not really definitive news, but still something I thought was worth bringing up. So first of all, to May stuff. The update in May will be coming at the end of the month as confirmed by Ben. No surprise really, as that's usually when they release their updates, and so far we know that we are getting a capital supremacy map as well as heroes versus villains rework, where they will be removing the target system. I'm not entirely sure how that's gonna be reworked. I don't think it's just gonna be a straight up hero blast with, well, kill the enemy team, because if that's the case I think they should have just either added hero blast as it is or called it hero blast. So maybe it's gonna somehow be focused around an objective while keeping that objective off a specific player so it doesn't get as chaotic as it currently is. I'm really curious to see how they've solved that, but I mean, heroes versus villains and hero modes have had quite a lot of iterations if you include the previous games, so I hope they manage to create something that's gonna be really fun and without the frustrations that the current heroes versus villains mode contains. And also a quick reminder that the Princess Leia event starts on May 1st to May 6th, where the community needs to capture command posts in capital supremacy. I've seen the number 4 million command posts pop up on Reddit and on streams, but I'm not really sure where that comes from because I haven't seen an official source for it. Might be like a tweet from a developer or something, but honestly I wasn't able to find it. It does sound like a reasonable number though. It's similar to what it did to the previous game, where it was like, oh, you've got to do 1 million emotes together as a community or something like that. And I mean, you do capture maybe 30-40 command posts per match of capital supremacy, I'm just guessing here. And if you multiply that by all the games going on and 5 days, I think 4 million, if that is the real number, will probably be easy to hit. And to be fair, they usually set a number that they know we will beat, because they can obviously see how many command posts that we are capturing across the board and all platforms every day, and then they can just multiply that by 5, maybe take a little bit off it to make sure that we actually do hit the number, and so on. So I'm not sure exactly how the skin is gonna be distributed, but my guess is that they're gonna maybe make a post saying, oh, you've now reached 4 million command posts, or whatever else number they decide to go for, and at that point this skin will be unlocked for everyone. I'm not sure if you personally need to have taken part during those 5 days in order to get the skin, or if the entire community gets the skin if we succeed with the actual event. But we'll probably get more details about that either tomorrow or on May 1st when the event actually starts. Nevertheless, I highly doubt it's going to be like an exclusive skin, so even if you need to play during May 1st to May 6th to unlock the skin and you can't take part, maybe you can get it for crystals or credits after that if you weren't able to participate during the event. I don't think they're just gonna make it exclusive for these 5 days. But then if we move on a little bit to the more generic comments about the future of the game, there's been a lot of positivity recently around the game. First of all, of course, Dennis saying that the player count is as high as it was 3 weeks after launch, but then also seeing a bunch of big YouTubers and streamers like Jack Frags and Shroud talking about the game again, playing the game again. It's really fun to see, and it really does feel like Battlefront 2 has made a great comeback right now, and I hope that's something that the developers will make use of and kind of keep the momentum going with more content and more attention being brought to the game and so on. So if we get over to some of the comments, one thing that Jay tweeted about a week ago was this pretty funny shirt saying new weapons when, and he then responded saying, we have pretty cool plans that may or may not touch on this, though nothing to say beyond that for now. So obviously kind of vague, but blasters is the one promise that they have not lived up to since the marketing of the game, and I do think that some more blasters to use would be a lot of fun, or at least maybe add some attachments to the base blasters to make them more viable to use. It would be nice, but they still have been very quiet about blasters for the last year or so, and again, this is also a pretty vague comment, so it doesn't tell us whether we are getting it or not getting it, but I still wanted to bring it up. And then we have quite a lot of comments from Dennis here that I thought was quite interesting. First of all, one regarding the Shadow Trooper, which was one of the skins introduced in Battlefront 2015, and when someone asked about it, he said, with the introduction of the Death Trooper to Star Wars, the Shadow Trooper kind of went away. which I kind of think makes sense. The Shadow Trooper, as far as I know, was not really any prominent character or trooper in any canon material. And the Death Trooper was a black Imperial Trooper that was a lot more unique and cool than the Shadow Trooper, to be completely honest. So it makes sense to me that the Shadow Trooper was kind of shifted away once the Death Trooper arrives. And then he gave us some quite interesting details in regards to porting content from Battlefront 2015. First of all, in regards to maps, where he said, sure, for maps it could make sense. They're different games on different versions of the engine, so when we did Bespin / Jabba's Palace maps, we found we didn't save much time compared to building a new map, but the process can be improved. However, in regards to porting Heroes over, he said, for Heroes we'd have to redo everything aside from the 3D model and the voice lines, so not saving much there either. Maybe 75% of the same effort it would take to build an entirely new hero. So that really shows that there's no point in porting Heroes from the previous game, especially if it's something like Ninab and Guido, who I personally really liked, but I would much rather see them focus on new characters, especially if it's only 25% extra compared to porting. However, characters that I could see them porting over would be something like Krennic and Jyn. Currently we have no Rogue One content, and once we've got more Clone Wars content, or actually right now we do have quite a lot of Clone Wars content, I do think that it would be pretty neat with some Rogue One content, and I've seen a lot of requests from that in the community as well. So that's the two characters I think would make sense to port over. Other than that, like you said, if it's only saving you like 25% of the effort, maybe it's better to just create brand new characters instead, like Ahsoka or Ventress or similarly. And he then also responded in regards to the BX droid and ARC Trooper by saying, after watching the reception of the BX Commando droid and ARC Trooper, I think we need to find a better way to add more new troopers without having them to be part of a class necessarily. And this is something that I know there's been a lot of discussion about, and something that I've thought about as well, because the current class system does limit the way they can add characters quite a lot, because it always has to be like, oh, which reinforcement class does this fit into? So now, for instance, they need to, if they want to add more Clone Wars characters, they need another class on top of the Infiltrator class, and maybe then they also need to fill out the Infiltrator class on the original trilogy and the sequel trilogy eras as well. So it isn't ideal, and it would be nice if you could just add, okay, this is a BX Commando droid, it's not part of any particular class, but it's a BX Commando droid, simply put. So I do understand what he's saying here, and if they could remake that somehow in the future, I think that would open up the opportunities to add a lot more characters more easily, as they don't always have to fit into this slot, if you know what I mean. And especially since the most requests right now are for more Clone Wars characters, such as Droidicus or Clone Commander or similarly. And it would be kind of weird then if they make another class that will only be available in the Clone Wars era, because then both the Infiltrator and another one would only be for the Clone Wars era. So the whole reinforcement class, especially the fact that they have to share all the star cards as well, is very limiting, and something that I would love to see them get rid of eventually and make them all into unique characters instead. I'd imagine that would be a pretty big overhaul, and something that would take a lot of time, and if they do announce that, it'd probably take months and months for them to actually implement it, but it would be neat, and it would definitely remove some of the limitations of this game and add more opportunities to add more characters without having to worry about game limitations, simply put. And lastly, also some good news is that DICE are hiring over 40 positions at Stockholm and LA. And just to be clear here, this is not specifically for Battlefront 2, but this is for DICE overall, which means it could be for Battlefield, it could be for Battlefront 2, or even if they're working on something else. But nevertheless, the fact that they are hiring is always good news, as they could be having layoffs, which would be a lot worse. So the fact that the company is growing is always good. Of course, we don't know how much people have left, but it does feel, currently at least, like there's a lot of positivity around Battlefront 2, both from the media and the public standpoint, with, like I said, big YouTubers and streamers and media outlets talking about the game, but also, of course, like Dennis said, the play count is really high, which means that it makes sense for them to keep supporting the game. And obviously, the main thing is, do they make money off the game? They aren't releasing a lot of skins, and I highly doubt they're making any big money from this game. So the question then is, are they gonna start pumping out skins to make more money, or are they gonna introduce some type of other microtransaction that would not be bad, if you know what I mean, that would not affect the gameplay but still was good enough for people to be willing to spend money on the game? I'm curious, and I feel like right now there's probably a lot of stuff up in the air, at least based on the fact that the roadmap is so vague and it only contains those 2 maps and the Heroes vs Villains rework. But yeah, I'm excited for the next couple of months, and I do feel a bit of positivity around the game now, and I really don't feel like it's going to be shut down in June or after the roadmap ends, but with this momentum, it would really be a shame to throw that away, simply put. But yeah, I think that's all I've got for you now, and I'm not sure if there's going to be any more news this week. I'll probably cover the Princess Leia skin once that's live, but other than that, I doubt there's going to be much this week. If there is, of course, I will make a video on it. But yeah, thank you very much for watching, and as always, may the Force be with you.